Thank you for expressing interest in the Adult Literacy Tutoring Program at the Waukegan Public Library. We hope this presentation will give you a feel for our program and how you might be able to get involved in supporting us. If you are thinking you'd like to volunteer with us, please make sure that you've printed off a copy of the orientation worksheet that you can complete while you go through the video. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and pause this now and go back to the email that you received with the link to the video, and there will be a link there to open up the worksheet as well. And assuming you're set to go then, let's get started. So what do we mean when we say adult literacy? According to the National Assessment of Adult Literacy, a more holistic definition is useful. You see our gal here on the right. She is juggling. Like all adults, life is not just one simple task. It's not just sit down and read a book. It's trying to run your whole life. So a more holistic definition is the ability to use printed and written information to do three important things: to function in society, to achieve one's goals, and to develop one's knowledge and potential. So the first part of our three-part definition of literacy is that literacy skills need to help you function in society. So we want to give you some examples of how this literacy definition actually plays out for our students. So as a first example, we had a student entered the program as basically a total non-reader, and one day he had been to the grocery store and he came back next week and told his tutor, "Hey, have you ever had peach crush? It's great." And she asked, "Well, how did you run into that?" And he said, "Well, I was at the store and I saw it and picked some up and it was pretty good." And she said, "Do you realize you read that?" So for this student, when he was going shopping, he was just picking things out based upon purely looks, and suddenly he's able to start reading and making his decisions about purchases based upon the text. So that's how literacy became functional for him.
Another example of how literacy skills help our students function in society comes from an example of a tutor working with an ESL student. The tutor decided to take the student and her family on a field trip because they were learning about transportation. They decided to visit Chicago. This was the second time that this student had been to Chicago because previously she was nervous to go alone. She didn't know how to read the bus schedule. She didn't know how to read the map. But with the assistance of her tutor, they were able to go and have a really wonderful time. And now the student is very excited to take her family and her husband down to the city again for more trips.
And a final example of functional literacy, we had a student who came to the program actually while she was recuperating from an illness in the nursing home, and wanted to go back to living independently. And because of her low literacy skills, simple things like being able to read recipes and actually follow them to cook from them were difficult for her. So one big thing she worked on with her tutor was learning to read recipes and follow them. And she was actually able to go back to independent living in an apartment and use those skills for herself.
The second part of our definition of literacy is that students need to be able to use printed and written information to achieve their goals. One specific goal that we see a lot with our students is parents being able to help their children with homework. The child might come home with something that the parent doesn't feel comfortable doing or doesn't know how to do. So part of being in the literacy program is that they gain skills to help them better assist their children.
Another goal that students often want to achieve is a better job or really a career, something that they can make a decent living out of. One example, we had a student who came to the program reading at about the 4th grade level and had struggled and strived to complete a certification program for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, HVAC. And he was able to complete the program with a lot of hard work and effort. But when he heard at the end of the program about how he'd have to fill out orders and explain the work he had done in writing to his future employers, he didn't have the nerve then to actually go and apply for work. So after coming to the tutoring program, he was able to improve his skills a little bit, and now he's working heating, ventilation, air conditioning jobs. And he still doesn't feel 100% comfortable in those situations where he has to communicate about his work in writing, but he feels comfortable enough to give it a try, and he's still working to improve his skills.
A final example of a goal that tutoring students want to achieve is passing the GED. We work with the students to build up their basic reading, writing, and math skills so that one day they can pass the GED. So even though we don't offer direct preparation for the test, we build a foundation of skills that students will need to achieve their future goals.
The last part of our definition of literacy is that you can use printed and written information to develop your own knowledge and potential. And this looks different for our students depending on what age they are. Again, a couple examples. First, we have a young student right now who is still living with family members in her 20s and not very much independence. She's worked a little bit but doesn't make enough to support herself and live on her own, and realizes that she'll need to have more skills in order to find work in a career that will enable her to live fully independently. She knows she has the potential, but without the skills she might not be able to do it.
We also see a lot of parents, especially in the ESL program, who need to build up their English language skills so that they can be independent from their children. We find a lot of times our ESL parents need to rely on their children for things such as translating when they go to a restaurant or translating at the school district between a parent and teacher meeting. And so it's very important for these parents to build up their English skills so that they can care for their children rather than have to rely on their children to support them.
And as a final example, you had a woman who is maybe the kind of student you traditionally think of as a literacy student. Growing up, she lived down south, and at the age of 7, they pulled her out of school and asked her to work on the farm. So she really never had an opportunity, and she raised up her kids, and all 5 of them went off and got college degrees. And she came to the program at age 73 and said she wanted to learn how to read. And most of what she ended up working on was she was a great cook, and she started to record some of her recipes and be able to read and share those with her family. It's just a great chance for her to finally be able to do something that she knew she could do, but with her work raising her family, she never had the chance before. A good starting point to think about the literacy needs in our country is to look at the National Assessment of Adult Literacy from 2003. The graphic you see on your screen here shows the prose literacy levels from the 19,000 adults that were given test items. It's not a survey where they asked people to report how literate they felt. This was based upon assessments of their ability to perform tasks, again lining up with our more functional definition of literacy that we discussed at the beginning. And as you see, 14% of American adults, 30 million, functioned at the below basic level. They were able to do no more than the most simple and concrete literacy skills. And another 29% only functioned up to the basic level. An example of a basic level skill was the ability to open up the TV guide and find the schedule for a specific program. So we have millions and millions of adults who are either able only to do just the bare minimum of daily activities or are even struggling to complete those daily activities and are in need of development of their skills if they want to be able to better manage their lives and seek better employment opportunities. So we've seen that there are millions of adults in the U.S. who need to improve their skills. Now let's take a closer look at the below basic prose literacy population. These are the adults who on the assessments struggled to do much more than sign their name or find a repeated term in a document. So in this below basic prose literacy group, 55% did not graduate from high school, 44% spoke no English before starting school, 39% were Hispanic, 20% were African American, 26% were over the age of 65, and 21% had multiple disabilities. So to continue to look at the below basic prose literacy population, the previous slide gives us a lot of the categories that people often associate with the literacy issue. It's common to think, oh, that's a problem for the African American community, or oh, that's an issue for the Latinos, or oh, the folks who didn't learn to read, they went to school years and years ago when the schools weren't as good as they are now. And if you just look at the titles of the categories there, it's easy to go with those stereotypical explanations for why folks have literacy difficulties. But if you flip the numbers around and look at the number of folks who didn't fit those stereotypes, you see the literacy issue is significant for all ages and all populations in our country, unfortunately. So for the below basic prose literacy population, 45% did graduate from high school. 56% rather did speak English before starting school. 41% were not Hispanic or African American, and 74% are under the age of 65. So it's very important that we don't come with our own preconceived notions about who our learners are. Everyone does have their own unique story, and our adult learners are from all ages and from all backgrounds. In the Adult Literacy Tutoring Program, we're focused on helping to support adult learning in Lake County. The next few slides show the great magnitude of the need right here at home. Take a few minutes to look over the statistics, digest them, think through what it means for our communities that people are in these situations and lacking these skills. And then we'll join you afterwards to talk about how tutoring can help. So does tutoring make a difference? Do the efforts of adult educators and tutors cause a change in the lives of students? There has not been a lot of study about the impact over time of adults' participation in programs. The one longitudinal study that was conducted by Portland State University did show a pretty striking difference between students who, over the course of a 10-year study, participated in more than 100 hours of adult education programs and those who did not. It was a $10,000 annual earnings difference, which is a significant change. Additionally, each year when we look at test scores for our program, one metric we use to measure progress, a student that meets with a tutor consistently will usually show about a half grade level improvement on a standardized test score over the course of a fiscal year. So there is financial and academic improvement seen from data sources.
Not only does the data support the fact that tutoring really does make a difference in the lives of our students, but as you listened to earlier in the presentation, those were just a few stories of actual students that we've placed with tutors and all of their success stories. So those were just a few, but there are so many more that we could share with you. Our students come in with a lot of obstacles, and as they begin to learn and as they begin to increase their skills, they gain confidence, they find new jobs, they are able to start recognizing words in the grocery store, they can start writing down their recipes and share with their family. There's so many things that our students can start doing, and it really does change their lives.
And at this point, we'd like to give you a little taste of what tutoring might be like. We have a couple samples of ABE Tutoring and ESL Tutoring. These are excerpts from YouTube videos created by other organizations. If you'd like to view the full videos, links are in the video description. Take a look. The first thing you can do to help adult learners here in Lake County is to work directly with them, to volunteer your time and your skills to give instruction that they need. And how do you get started as a tutor? Well, first you complete our training process we require that all of our tutors have a high school diploma or GED, and the training process altogether ends up being more than 12-hour commitment. There's an online portion through a program developed by Literacy New York called Indexed Outcomes that will give you background and specific teaching strategies in a specific area that you'd like to tutor in. And then we have you come in for a half-day in-person session to see how those ideas actually work here in our program and to understand the processes and procedures and how we do things. And then we do also, at the completion of the in-person training, ask you to complete a criminal background check so that we protect ourselves from any liabilities. So in the training process, what you'll learn is how to work with adult learners, treat them with the dignity and respect that they deserve, and also understand the specific issues and joys that come with working with them. You'll be introduced to key concepts that sort of underlie the different subject areas in which you might be teaching. You'll learn specific instructional strategies and techniques that you'll be able to use with students once you get started. And then you'll be introduced to the instructional resources and materials that we most commonly use in our program. It will be a lot of information, and even though it is a significant commitment to go through that training process, we also recognize that we won't be able to turn you into adult literacy experts just sort of overnight there. So we hope the training process gives you a good background and some familiarity with some of the things you'll need to know as you start tutoring, but then once you get tutoring, you'll see that you'll be provided with support in an ongoing fashion so that you can do a good job. Then after you've completed training, we want to get you started actually working with adult learners. And we use a matching philosophy. We try to match your skills and your availability with the needs of adult learners. So we get to know your skills and your availability through the training process and a profile that you'll fill out at the end of the training process. And then we assess the needs of our students as they go through our intake process. And we try to then see where you'll be a fit and where you can be helpful to our learners. Time, location, personality, all of those things go into consideration of what will be a good fit for you, and it's a negotiation process. So when there's an opportunity available, we post that to a spreadsheet that's available over the web for tutors to take a peek at. So you might express interest in a specific match because you see it posted. Or you might get a call saying, this might be a good opportunity for you. And we talk things through, and you get a chance to say, yeah, that's going to be a good fit. I'd like to pursue it, or to look for something else. Because of the scope of our work, as we saw in the section about the need in Lake County here, we do serve all of Lake County, but primarily we focus on the northeast part of the county. North Chicago, Waukegan, and Zion are the areas with the greatest need. And so because of that, we welcome volunteers from anywhere in the county and with availability anywhere in the county. But if you're not willing to tutor in those areas, or if you have very limited availability, it will take us much longer to find a match for you that will be a fit where you can help out. So we don't want to give you unrealistic expectations as you're coming into the training process. That the day after training, everyone from the training cohort will be matched up with a student or students. It does take us usually about a month to follow up with everyone from the training and make at least an offer of something that we think might be a fit for that person. Sometimes longer if there's very limited availability. So, but if you have availability and you're ready to get started, we do our best to find a match that will fit you. And then once you're matched up with the student, the last element that you need as a tutor and that we provide is support for you. So we'll help you either directly as staff members or through the curriculum and materials that we provide, have clear objectives for what your goals are for yourself as a tutor and for your learners in their efforts. We'll give you the instructional materials that you need that will be helpful for you. We'll provide space either here or at a partner organization. We'll offer advice and assistance as needed, and we'll give you tools to monitor the progress of your learner. Additionally, you will have the support of your fellow tutors. If you're meeting in one of our learning gym sites, there will be other volunteers there coaching learners day to day with you, and you can collaborate with, ask questions of, support each other. And also there are periodic trainings and opportunities to get together and discuss your tutoring with your fellow volunteers throughout the year. And then to show the value of the program, we ask that tutors report on what they're doing with learners on a quarterly schedule. You'll submit a report in March, June, September, and December. The report will only take about 15 minutes. It's a chance to just report the hours you spent actually tutoring, any accomplishments that the learner might have had, like getting a driver's license, getting a new job, getting a library card, being able to read to their kids, these kind of very specific things that they learned to do as a result of being tutoring, or share specific success stories and progress that the learner has made while you've been working together. So within the Adult Literacy Tutoring Program, there are two types of tutoring that you might do. The first is Adult Basic Education, or ABE, and that always means reading, writing, or math instructions for adult learners who tested at below a 9th grade skill level. Most of these students were born here in the U.S., grew up and went through our school system, and didn't find the success they were looking for, didn't develop the skills that they needed. Some students now are transferring over from ESL classes or tutoring program after they've developed more English language skills. They become adult basic education students. So at higher levels, you may also see students for whom English is a second language.
The other type of tutoring that you may be able to do is English as a second language. This is conversation-focused tutoring, but the student will also receive reading and writing instruction in English. We see all different types of students, all different types of levels. Some start at the very beginning level with absolutely no conversation skills, while some are pretty conversational but lack the ability to read and write, for example. Additionally, as a tutor, you are not required to have any foreign language skills. That is not a requirement, and usually it is better, and it forces your students to really practice their English.
So at this point, we'd like to give you a little taste of what tutoring might actually be like. You'll have to pause the video here in a minute and go down to the description, and there are links to two other videos on YouTube created by other organizations to give you a little example of what it might be like to work with a basic level reader as an ABE tutor, or what it might be like as an ESL tutor. So we just want you to view those little excerpts, and then you can come right on back to this video and continue through. And we want to give you a little taste of what actual tutoring looks like. So hopefully seeing those tutors working with students gets you excited about that you might be able to do that. And there's a couple different roles. I'll give you a little bit of detail about each that you can actually serve in as a volunteer. First is just as a tutor, and that's for both the adult basic education, the basic reading, writing, and math, or for English as a second language. And the second one is as a coach, which is just a role that we're just have right now for the adult basic education students. So the first role is being a tutor. And essentially you meet with an adult learner or a group of adult learners at a local library or community organization each week and help them build their skills and work towards their goals. At the first meeting, when you're matched with an individual or a group, a staff member will be there to explain the study plan that they've created for this individual or group, to provide you and the learners with the instructional materials that you will need. But then after that, except when you're asking for support or when a staff member is checking in with you about your progress, you will be week to week then responsible for supporting those learners. And the second volunteer role is that of being a coach, which will be a new role for our program starting in fall of 2017 as a part of our Learning Gym program. When you're a coach, you're part of a team of coaches that are working with a group of adult learners who are all coming together. Be about one coach for every 2 learners, and you won't be working with the same learner every day or even throughout the course of a session. Your job as a coach is to help learners navigate through the curriculum and to provide support and accountability. So instead of being responsible for preparing the lesson ahead of time and managing the whole classroom situation, you are coaching the learners through trying to take charge of their own education and use the resources that are available to maximize the impact that they can have and how much they can learn. And because this second role of a coach is a new role for us associated with the new model for tutoring, I'd like to just take a few minutes to explain that a little bit. It's called the Learning Gym.
The Learning Gym is a new part of our adult literacy tutoring program. It's a unique learning model aimed at helping learners take charge of their own education. On the one hand, there are many programs that try to guide learners through their education step by step. Our community-based tutoring groups and adult ABE, GED, and ESL classes are all examples of this. On the other hand, there are ways for learners to do completely self-guided learning like checking out a book or DVD, watching online videos, or taking online classes like our Career Online High School program. The Learning Gym aims to split the difference and empower learners to be as independent as they can be but still have support at the ready when it is needed. All of the curriculum and resources are laid out in workout plans that help the learners know what to study. These plans are broken up into units which teach a specific skill or strategy. But learners aren't just on their own. Coaches help them navigate the workout plans and assist them as needed in the skill and strategy units. So when learners can make progress independently, they have all the information and resources they could ever want. But when they get stuck, there's someone there to help them get moving again. The core of the Learning Gym is a 2-hour weekly session with 10 to 20 learners and half that many volunteer coaches supporting them. The session consists of 3 parts. First, a quick warm-up discussion of a key learning quote or mantra designed to teach soft skills like planning and flexibility. For example, mistakes are learning opportunities. The second part of the session consists of 15 minutes in a learning support group facilitated by a coach. The learners and coaches support each other and hold each other accountable for setting weekly goals and following through. Finally, the remaining hour and a half is spent with the learners each working on their chosen units and receiving support from each other and their coaches as needed. If the program is successful, learners will be able to put in 30 minutes of independent practice each day throughout the week, in addition to the 2-hour weekly session. Learners should complete at least 1 unit per month. The learner will receive a certificate when they successfully complete the tests at the end of each unit.
So you've heard about the need in Lake County. You've heard about our program. You've seen some examples of what it looks like to actually sit down with the student and do some tutoring. You've seen a little bit about the different roles you could serve in as a tutor or coach in our program. So that gives you an overview, but I'm going to give you a few specific big pros and cons about being a tutor. We think you'll find tutoring to be rewarding and well worth it. But we want to give you an honest assessment of what's great and what might be a little more frustrating about it. So first, working with adult learners is wonderful because they are motivated and excited to learn. It is no greater blessing as a teacher than to be able to sit down with someone who is really excited to try to figure out the skill that you're trying to teach. And our adult learners, since we're working on helping them build up the skills they need to reach their goals and to have the success that they want for themselves and their families, are always highly motivated and excited to be showing up for tutoring. It's a wonderful environment. The flip side of that, though, is that often students experience many interruptions in their learning process. Most adult learners don't just say, okay, I'm ready to go back to school, and then slowly but steadily progress towards their goals all the way until they reach them. Because having low literacy skills often means you're experiencing difficulties in areas like health, transportation, employment. There often is a pattern where a student will come, make progress for a while, and then life intervenes and they need to take a break. So for you as a tutor, you only get to see usually part of the journey. You need to celebrate the successes that students share along the way, where they're at. If you're lucky enough to be there when they really finish their journey and achieve their big long-term goals, that's wonderful. But otherwise, you usually don't get the whole picture of a student's process. You're just there part of the way. So a second thing that's wonderful about tutoring is that you have students who are excited to make progress, who are building up their confidence as they learn new things, and who are so excited to be able to use the skills they're learning at their work, in their lives, with their families. It's wonderfully exciting when a student gets the new idea and then can actually apply it. The flip side of that is that working with adults, that learning comes more slowly and with more effort than it does working with children. Adults, every day, our brains are now slowing down, and so it takes more repetition, more time, and more patience to achieve those moments. They're still absolutely there, but you have to put the time and the effort in, both you and the student. So a third thing that's wonderful about tutoring is that you get to develop relationships with people who are different from maybe who you'd associate with otherwise. As we shared in the section about the need, folks in our literacy program come from all different ages, walks of life, and backgrounds, and so you get to connect with someone and invest in their life and their learning, and there's some wonderful relationships that are developed there with people, again, who might be different from who you might normally connect with in your everyday life. The flip side of that is that tutoring is very much about enabling tutors to be independent and move forward on their own. And so as you invest in an adult learner's life, you have your own set of expectations and hopes and dreams for them. But what we do as a tutor is to try and support the goals of the learner. And so a learner might be moving more slowly or in a different direction maybe than you think would be best for them, but you still need to be supportive of their goals and their dreams and their needs educationally to move forward towards those. So in summary, through tutoring, you get to really connect with someone who's really making a significant effort to make changes in their life and move forwards. And it's a very rewarding experience, and we hope you'll join us. So that's all the information. That's a little bit about who we are as a program. And now it's time to decide if you'd like to support us, what you can actually do. Of course, the easiest way to join us in our mission to provide the path to empower and support learning and discovery for these adult learners is by becoming a tutor. So you can go ahead and sign up for the next tutor training series. There's a link in the video description to the registration form. It's an online survey format. You click the link, fill in the questions, click submit, and then you'll get a follow-up with a call from us to answer any questions you might have, and then get you started with our training process. If you're on the fence or if you have any questions, please contact program staff using the info provided on this slide. We'd love to talk with you about our program. Tutors are our most valuable asset, and that's how we impact our community. And of course, you're also most welcome to support us with money. So if you would like to make a personal donation, there's a link in the description. You can do that through the Waukegan Public Library Foundation. And you can either specify that your funds be designated to support the adult literacy tutoring program specifically, or you can make a general donation, which would support all the library's educational programs, including digital literacy classes, Spanish GED classes, health literacy workshops and screenings, conversational ESL groups, all of that in addition to the tutoring program you've just learned about. And of course, if you're more interested in learning about us as an organization, we'd love to talk with you more. Again, contact information is provided here. Or if you feel like you have connections to other individuals in the community who might be interested in supporting our work, Please share this orientation video with them, or the information you've learned about the program, or connect them with our staff so that we can share with them what we're excited about doing for adult learners here in Lake County. So thanks for learning more about our program, and we look forward to speaking with you more soon, or seeing you at our next tutor training. Have a good one. Bye-bye.